Hello, everybody, everyone. Thank you for being here. So, as Fernanda said, I work for Diversion Cinema, and the name of this talk is Vive la Distribution in French. It's a strange title, but it was a proposal from Tim, and I was happy to underline that in France we have a strong tradition of distribution, because we have a market around cinema that is really old and really well structured, with lots of companies doing distribution and international sales for a long time. And my background is in the international sales of art house feature films and documentaries. And 3 years ago, when the virtual reality was showing up a little bit on the market and festival, with some other distributors in France, we started to discuss and to imagine what can be the business model for this new creation and production. So before, I was working for a company, a classical distribution company called Wide, where I founded Wide VR, the international distribution department. It was 2 years ago. At the same moment, there is a famous company, MK2. I don't know if you know MK2. They have different cinema in Paris, really important cinema where they show blockbusters, but also art house films. They opened 2 years ago a VR cinema in one of their main multiplex in Paris. And a few months after, they decided also to launch their distribution department of VR content. At this time, I also met the guys from Diversion Cinema. They were doing many incredible things, like running a VR cinema in the center of Paris, but also working with numerous film festivals and locations trying to show VR to the public. So I'm going to start quickly about what's happening with Diversion. At the beginning, the activity of Diversion is to create VR spaces, as I say, in different festivals. And some of our main partners are the Cannes Film Festival, the Venice Film Festival. Also, we have been working with Dubai and with Amsterdam IDFA, that is happening right now, a great market, where we set up for them VR cinema, but also stand-up installations like Oculus or HTC for making the VR accessible to the audience. We are also working with companies like Facebook and Disney and Arte for special events in France. So with this activity that started 2.5 years ago for Diversion, they started to develop solutions to distribute the contents and to reach the audience. At the same time, they developed a specific relation with a producer, because lots of our clients were asking for proposition of contents to curate also the programmation. So it's how Diversion, little by little, starting to being a distributor also of VR content. So I will come back on this activity later. I wanted to show you first some images of the installation we developed, like here in Venice, the 50-seat VR theater for 360 content, but also some stand-up installation here, where the goal is to make it accessible to the audience and putting the focus on the content, not on the technology. We hide all the cable, all the material and everything, so it's great to make like a curated exhibition of VR content. And so from that, I jump to the exhibition point, because distribution comes with exhibition, and I think it's important for you to understand a little bit the reality of what's happening right now. So I'm taking the example of the VR cinema we have in Paris. You can see like a picture. It's a real simple 360 synchronized VR theater. The same one that we are like putting in some location, like in Eindhoven or in Strasbourg, where we did like a pop-up VR cinema. And here, another picture. And here are concrete figures. I think there is a little problem with the format, but okay, just to make it clear, it costs a lot at the beginning to make a VR cinema, and here I'm always only talking about 360 VR cinema. Imagine the cost can be much more higher if you want to put some HTC or Oculus. So our VR theater is 15 seats for 360 headset. We also have 2 HTC, but it's not in the figure here. At the beginning, it cost around like 17,000 euros for the materials, and for the software, about 50K. Then on one day of representation, it's about 15 people per screenings, 6 screenings a day. So the average ticket is around 630. So you can see the total revenue per day, it's around 567 audience. So you imagine we are not going to do lots of money with that. We add the staff and also we pay the content provider. So at the end, we can reach the break-even if we fill the room with a filling rate of 60%. And if we have 100% room full, it's around like 157 euros of profit a day. So it's not a lot, but we don't lose money with that. And we keep doing it because it's important for us to keep a connection with the public, and we try new stuff. Right now we are experimenting with the Lenovo or with the Google, with Lenovo and new headset HTC Focus also. So it's for us an experimentation, but for make it like more profitable in terms of distribution and exploitation, we have to think out of the box. And I have a great example we did this summer. We met last year the guy from the Oceanopolis, which is an aquarium in Brest in France. The thing they have in the Oceanopolis is they try to find new attraction, new entertainment for bringing new audience in their aquarium during the summer, because there is Brest is in a place where there is lots of people going there for holidays, so people are used to go in the Oceanopolis, but every year they look if there is new stuff happening there for coming back. So the idea was not to build like a new aquarium section, but more to play with the new media. And we propose them to create like a 80-seat VR theater to show some contents about sea life and life in the oceans in general. And so we did this in between July and August this summer. And we had a total at the end of spectators of 24,000 spectators with 7 screenings a day and 80 seats, always full during this period. So you have a little video, if you can play the video. So the music is a little bit underlining the emotional part of this, but you have a clear idea of how it works. And I have many things to say about this experience. Maybe first one is that when you have a VR cinema, it's sometimes hard, as say Eddie in the conference like 1 hour ago, that we have a problem to filling the VR cinema with new content sometimes, and lots of people don't know what to expect about a VR cinema, what they can see inside. Some people believe it's just for video games players, so they are a little bit afraid. While you put here like a VR cinema in an aquarium saying it's content about sea life, people really understand quickly that what they are going to see. And it was like, there was like an average rate of satisfaction of 90%. People were like clapping at the end of each screenings. Everybody was really happy with that. And I think for the Oceanopolis, it was a great marketing tool, in fact, that brings lots of people that were coming only for that. Then it put the creative work forward, because the contents we put in the VR theater, they are contents that we are also representing with our distribution department. And the aquarium was paying license fee for that, so it was money for the content makers. And also it was a great way to evangelize the audience, because as I say, lots of people were putting a headset for the first time on their head, and they understood that they can also watch some documentaries or fiction in VR, and that is not only gaming. So from that experience, I want to jump more on the distribution and international distribution part, because it's what I'm doing with Diversion. I arrived in the company 6 months, 8 months ago to create this department at Diversion. So I'm taking care, by instance, of contents like the one Wild Immersion and 700 Sharks that we have been showing in this VR cinema in the aquarium of Brest, but I'm also distributing these contents worldwide in many locations. As I say, I come from the classical distribution industry, from the film and documentary film industry. And the classical way to see international distribution is 3 steps. First one is the market of the festivals. When you launch a new film, if it's art house film or like something a little bit experimental, you go through the festival career of the film and you try to have the biggest premiere and to continue to travel the world with the different festival. Then you have like the physical distribution. So for cinema, film, it's more like the classical cinema. Here in virtual reality, we are used to talk about location-based. But location-based, we don't know exactly what is it. It can be like the VR arcade, the VR theater, like the example I told you. But it can be also museum. It can be also like aquarium, zoo, and many other places. So it's really big name, and it's still we still have to define exactly what is it and what is the model. And then third is the online distribution with lots of platforms. So you know the stores, by instance, Oculus Store or the Viveport and Steam, but there is also lots of platforms that try to have like an editorial work like Within or many other ones. So that's the 3 steps, a little bit of distribution. But how these 3 steps work for all the content? This is what we are trying to figure out with the distribution department, and I already have really different experiences with the different works I'm representing. I'm going to start with the Wild Immersion, the one you saw that we have been presenting at the Oceanopolis in Brest. We are working with them for a few months now. We starting with putting the Wild Immersion in some location, little location-based or VR cinema, and in some festivals. But now we arrive at the second phase of the distribution strategy, which is to sell the concept of VR natural reserve. In fact, as I say, many people are a little bit scared about VR. They don't really know what to expect. But when you say you are going to see animals in their natural environment, it's much more easier for people to understand. And the concept, so here it's one of the concept natural reserve we did in China. It's a kind of pop-up VR cinema that can play during 3, 6 months, 1 year, where you have different rooms with different thematics. So here you can see the room dedicated to aquatic life. And so people pay tickets. They have some information about the story, about the Jane Goodall Foundation, by instance, that protect the animals around the world. And then they can go in each room with a different thematic. Sometimes it's a room dedicated to animals from Africa, one is about aquatic life, one about Amazonia. And it's really a concept that we develop, and we have like a partnership in place now that will be announced soon with some location in France. And we are in discussion with different places who want to develop this concept for their territory. So that's a really simple but good concept I wanted to introduce you. But then I'm going to talk something totally different. That's the real thing. So I don't know if you saw it. It's playing here at the VR cinema they have with in VR. We are also working with EVR Byte in Germany for a tour in different cinema where they use like a synchronized system with the sound of the cinema. That's really amazing what they are doing. The real thing, we started to work as an international distributor since the premiere in festival. And now with our department, I have my colleague Agatha, she's at the office, she's in charge of the festival programmation. We did 30 selection, more than 30 selection in festival, and we won 6 awards. So it was like a big tour, traveling with a selection and festival representation every day. And it was already like a first success to have so many festival selection. And also with festival selection comes sometimes opportunity to negotiate some screening fees. So it's already a first revenue possibility for the contents. Now I'm more focused on the distribution into location-based. But as you can imagine, the real thing is a documentary in 360. It's about architecture in China. It's not exactly for VR arcade video games location. It's more like we have to find alternative. So we are like talking with some museums, with some center, like have like a specific like curation. By instance, we are in the exhibition of the Centre Phi. So I don't know if you know the Centre Phi. It's in Montreal. It's a great museum dedicated to the new form of immersive art and things like that. And they have like a VR exhibition right now where they are showing the real thing for 3 or 4 months. In the same time, we have, by instance, a distributor in Japan. We found also, excuse me, we have in Taiwan right now a VR film lab that is kind of a VR gallery that is showing the real thing for 2 months. So we are really like building a network of places like that that are showing VR, and they are a lot. The only thing to do is to find the proper way to work with them, but we can monetize and reach the audience like that with such quality content like the real thing. I put also Sandbox Immersive Festival. Maybe you heard Eddie Lu talking about his project to have a VR tour. After the selection of the real thing during their festival edition, they use the real thing in different locations after the festival for special show. And it's something that is more and more in the trend right now. There is lots of festivals when they build like a nice VR exhibition just for 1 week. Then they try to think what to do with that. There is, by instance, a festival that I really like. It's in Sheffield called the Dogfest Festival. They have an amazing VR immersive selection and exhibition during 2 weeks during the festival. And this year, they have been touring with this exhibition, showing it in Montreal, also in Mexico, in different cities of UK. And of course, they pay also the content provider for using their content. So it's a beginning of business model of commercial exploitation, and it's really good to see that there is such initiative happening right now, and more festivals are thinking about that. So it's once again thinking about out of the box, trying to change a little bit the model comparing to the classical cinema industry, and I think it's really good and really positive for the future. At the same time, on the real thing, we have, by instance, the online distribution with Arte 360 application, and I just closed a deal last week with a new platform that is working with the telecommunication companies from Eastern Asia for distributing online in a country like Philippines or Cambodia, a country where we have not many connections regarding VR right now, but this platform has a great business model, and I'm really happy to show the real thing to the audience over there through the telecommunication system and the mobile phone. So next step for us now, so you can see here more titles. If you are interested to know a little bit more about the titles I'm distributing, I can give you more information later. But the idea is to continue by distributing narrative and creative works in VR. We are not restricted in terms of technology. It can be like interactive, 360, but we really want to put forward some talents and some creativity with this medium. I think an important steps, and we are working hard on it, is how to work with VR arcades, because just in Paris, by instance, I was talking last week with a company opening different VR arcades, but they understood that at the beginning, targeting the gamer, the video games player audience was maybe the easiest way to start. But if they want to grow up their audience, they have to target new kind of user and people. And having kind of documentaries or experience that are different than shooting zombies or things like that can be a way maybe to attract people that are looking for something else than just video games. So we have lots of discussion. Of course, we have to find a way to work. It's still really experimental, but it's an evolution that is possible right now, I think. Also, another question is how to make touring complex VR experiences. So maybe you heard about some experience amazing in some film festival, like by instance in Venice or in Sundance or in Tribeca. There is more and more ambitious installation using different technology, AR, motion capture live with actors on stage when you put the headset. So regarding that point, we are working with DV Group on 2 experiences called the Horrifically Real Virtuality and the Roaming, and they were part of the Venice competition in September. And they are really complex indeed installation, because you need like maybe 10 people to running it. In the Horrifically, you have 3 actors on stage, so you can have like 6 people every hours. And when you arrive at the beginning, you don't have the headset. You start to play with the actors. You are on a set shooting a movie with a strange technology. And then you go in another room where you have to buy a ticket. And with these tickets, you exchange it against like a VR headset. And when you have the VR headset, you are front of like a old-fashioned cinema in a virtual. And you can enter in this cinema, take a seat, and you see on the screen the virtual movie you have shot like 15 minutes ago. So it's really like an experience amazing with different layers of virtuality. And it's something that we figure out. We try to imagine what can be the business model to make it like profitable or to don't lose money with that. But we are like, yes, working with different people right now for making a tour with this installation. There is also the roaming. That is an experience where you have a journey into strange landscape looking like the bayou, and you meet some characters at some points, like a strange voodoo man playing banjo, and in fact it's a real actor playing live, and you can have a conversation with him. So yeah, touring complex VR experience like that, it's still complex, but there is more and more places open to this kind of installations. That's why we return new immersive entertainment. It's because there is more and more places open to such installation. Have a look maybe on what are doing the guys from MeWolf in United States, Lune Rouge, or also there is a great company in Japan. They are not doing VR directly, called TeamLab. They did an amazing exhibition in Paris this summer. They are doing different kind of immersive technology for building a new generation of exhibition where people come and use different kind of technology for living like a strange and immersive adventure. And I think it will be maybe the future of this new form of entertainment to be shown in this kind of places. And then I wanted also to put a light on Cobalt. Cobalt that is produced by Max and Julia. They are from Berlin, and we are working together for 6 months now. We started 6 months ago, and Cobalt had a premiere also in Venice. So we were really happy because having like a horror gaming content in Venice, we were like not sure at the beginning, but they really loved it, and that's what is fantastic with Cobalt. It's not like a totally video games, horror video games. You don't have weapon, you don't have to kill people or anything. There is a narrative aspect, so it's really like in between the movie and the game, and it's really unique and proper to VR. So it's really a new form to put you in a strange world, and that's what is great with Cobalt, because it's going in many festivals right now, and it's released online it was released online 2 weeks ago on HTC and Oculus platforms, and now we are like looking for different location to exploit Cobalt and to show it to the audience. But we have to find a way to work, because as I say, it's not cinema. It's not video games, it's in between, and we still have to figure out how to work with the location base with such an installation like that. I think I explained a little bit everything I wanted to say, so I'm open to take some question right now if you have some interrogation and some questions, yes.
You were mentioning the screening fees that festivals are already paying. Like, is it comparable to the screening fees festivals pay for documentaries or feature films, or is it like a different kind of money?
It's not big screening fees, and it really depends on the festival, how they are structured. Sometimes it's just like 100, 200 euros, but sometimes you have festivals that are like keen to pay bigger screening fees. So it really depends. For many festivals and location, VR, it's really new, so they make you understand that they don't know if they're going to make profit, so you have maybe to play their games and to help them a little bit, but some of these structures also are really well financed, so we try to get the best of what we can get, in fact. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi. I've seen the Horrifically Real Virtuality in Venice,
yeah.
And I loved it. And it was so much effort behind it, and because it was with live acting and stuff like that. How do you plan to make this scalable and maybe transport such an experience, if this or another, to other people, not only having this in one venue, but worldwide maybe? Is this something you can do at all?
I think it's something that is in process. So I'm not the best one to answer. I think it's a discussion we should have with the producer on stage also. But the idea, DV Group, they were in Venice already 2 years ago with an experience called Alice. That was really amazing. But Alice was a single person experience. And there was like one person able to do it every hour and a half. So there was no possibility to make it like commercially speaking efficient. With Horrifically, it's a step forward because you can have 6 people in the same time with one show every hour. And it corresponds lots of more about these new trends. I didn't talk about that, but I think with this kind of installation, we are really close from the business model of the escape games or the immersive theater. Now we have a generation now of people ready to pay 60, sometimes 80 euros to live an experience during one hour or 2 hours. What's happening in New York, by instance, with a theater company, Punch Drunk. I don't know if you know about their famous theater play called Sleep No More. Sleep No More, you pay like 100 euros, but when you finish Sleep No More, you don't know how to explain it to your friends, but you say, wow, I just did something really amazing, it's great. And I think with Horrifically, it's the same kind of show. It's something that you don't have to explain exactly what's happening. You know there will be lots of technology into it. Maybe there will be some VR at some point, but VR is just a tool in this experience. It's not like the purpose of the experience is not to try VR. It's VR play a part in this experience. So people, I think, can be ready to pay like 60, 50 euros to live something like that, and we get closer from a real business model. So yeah. Maybe I wanted to talk quickly in the same...
yeah, we have still 5 minutes, so go for it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
About the company based in Paris, so I don't work directly with them, but they are really good friends, called Backlight. They were also in Venice with an escape game in VR, in fact. And the funny thing is that they arrive in Venice with their experience called Eclipse 6 months after the beginning of the exploitation in France, because Eclipse was already very successful in terms of business exploitation. They opened like 2 locations where you can experience it right now in Paris. And it's really in between the escape game, but the space adventure. You are 2 teams of 2 people. You are in different spaceships, and each team has to help each other to arrive at the end of the story. And that's great because they were like recognized with a Venice selection in the festival with content that already proves that is a business model like successful. So it's also part of this new form of installation, immersive installation, that has a real potential on the market.
If anyone's just wanted to ask, kind of fits into Tim's question, because that's, I think, what we all experience. We go to festivals, we find those things amazing, and tell people, and they're like, where, when? Would you, as a distributor, have any tips for people who are creating experience or having interest in creating experiences like that mix, maybe performance and VR and other types of technology that basically create a very complex setup on how to kind of think ahead? Because I think, of course, it's still like early days and we're experimenting with all sorts of things, and it's very exciting for the exploration of the medium. But then, in the end of the day, like if nobody sees it, how do we deal with it in the future?
I think, of course, the distribution strategy has to arrive really early in the production process to think and to define quickly what can be the potential market for the content. And I come back to the experience we had with the aquarium in Brest. I think that if you think out of the box, not in terms of classical exploitation, but trying to think a little bit before about maybe some museum exploitation and to find some partners. Right now, there is some museums that are that arrive on that start to finance some projects because they want to get the exclusivity for their museum or for their exhibition. So I think there is to think about that and to find like partners at the beginning to think about the distribution strategy.
We're waiting in Germany that there will be more dedicated places for room-scaled or warehouse-scaled experiences for many players, maybe like escape games or whatever. or like something like Real Virtuality, or Carni Arena when something really big's coming up. Is there something in France that you see you have warehouses or cinemas that have been reconstructed to host experiences like that on a regular basis, or will there be in the future?
Yes, really soon. In fact, there is new things coming soon. New location in Paris, in border of Paris, but also if you check in all the big city of France, but I'm sure it's the same maybe in Germany. You have like lots of people who try to open a VR location with different kind of orientation. Sometimes it's dedicated to gaming, sometimes it's trying to put like 360 documentaries. So there is many kind of initiative, but there is still, I feel it, a company with a big potential right now, companies that raise some money, that are going to open new location, new place, and maybe closer from the business model of MioWolf or this immersive structure I talked about, really dedicated to artistic production and immersive, impressive technology. So yes, I think there is many things that are coming soon. And in Paris also we have this location called Palais des Lumières, something like that, where they are doing a Klimt exhibition right now. So it's not with VR directly, but it's with mapping and combination of screenings. It's really immersive and it's always full. If you want to go there, you have to book like 2 or 3 weeks before. And I think it's part of this evolution and it's this new development of this new technology.